We're breaking out a traditional baked lasagna in a Dutch oven. Whoo, it is so good and so cheesy all the way through, but I'm putting a cowboy twist on it, so come on, cause I'm getting a little Italian in this episode. Hey, ho, 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 and jingle bells, and all the way down the road we go. What are we talking about? Christmas edition. Yes, we are. Let me just tell you, Merry, Merry Christmas. Yes, ooh, it is a great day. It is. Little breezy it is, and if you see some shadows here, there, and yonder, I wish y'all could see Shan. She's got a camera in one hand, a reflector in the other. She's trying to do it all. But what are we talking about? A dish that means a lot to me because it was handed down to me a little that I had to change from my good friend Joe Parlanti up there in Connecticut. Now Joe is, I don't know how many generations Italian, and when you're going to cook lasagna, who do you call? I mean, I'm going to call Joe Parlanti. That's who I'm going to call. Joe and his son Mike, they come to cooking school one time and come down there visited with us, and Joe is just them kind of people that just makes you feel good to be around him. I mean, they are a great family. Oh, how we love them. So Joe, thank you so much, buddy, for sharing part of this recipe. I know you couldn't give all the grandma's secrets out, but you judge me on this and let me know how I'm doing. So we're going to start with a little stock pot about half full of water and 12 Roma tomatoes. Put them in there and bring it to a boil. Probably going to take about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and you want to just see that skin crack on them tomatoes, and then just, hey, take them out of there, put them in something cool water, and just let them set a minute, because that cool water, what is going to do? Help them to where you can peel that skin off of them. So just take them over to the side and let them go, let them sit a minute. And while that's going on, guess what? We could be browning us up some meat. Now I took 1.5 pounds of certified Angus beef and 1 pound of Italian sausage and put it in a 12-inch skillet and just let it begin to brown over about medium heat. And we have done got us 1 pound of them mushrooms, sliced them up really good. We have. Lay them right up there on top of that meat, and let's just sort of fold them over. Yeah, I just want them mushrooms to get in there and give that good meat and that Italian sausage some flavor, and we just want to get it good and brown. Now, as this is browning, guess what? The tomatoes are ready to go in the Blend-O-Matic. Peel them, you'll see me, just peel them, put them all in that blender, just sort of got to give them a little mash. There you do. We done chopped those up, some basil and some parsley and some spinach, 12 garlic cloves, and a whole onion that is just sort of quartered. Stuff all that in there. I know you're saying, man, the boat's getting full, Kent. I don't know if we can get all that blended. Poke her on down in there just a little bit, and let's pour a can of Rotel. Yep, this is where traditional got off on the trail and went down the wagon train with Kent. Yep, sorry about that, Joe Parlanti, but you knew the cowboy had to put a twist on it. You did. Then we're going to put some Italian seasoning there on top of that. Ooh, and it is so good. Right there at the last two, I need you to break that W sauce out. Give it some about 2 or 3 good shakes down in there. Just go ahead and put the lid on there. Hit pulsate, vibrate, whatever you got on there that makes it go around and get to going. And you got you a medium sauce pot there. I need you to take half of what's in that blender and pour it in that sauce pot. Just half of it, okay? Because I'm going to show you a little something we need to do here a little bit later. Now the meat is what you call done. It is right now. So let's go ahead and take the meat out of the skillet, dump it over here in that meat sauce where it's at, and in that very same skillet, I want you to take a half a stick of butter, layer up in there, and I'm using some Kerrygold because they done sold me on that stuff. It is good. And we done chopped this up another onion, just sort of sliced it really fine, put it in there, and I want you to just let that onion saute to where it gets translucent. Yes, this is a trick that Joe Parr told me. Kent, when you put that tomato paste in there in a minute, don't you burn it. You brown it. That's what you got to do. So folks, get you one of them tomato paste, throw her down in there, and then just go to stirring it. Turn that heat down to about medium low. We just want to blend all them flavors and give it a good color. When that gets done, scrape her over its side, take it back over to that blender that is half full, yes, and just dump it down in there and hit the button again and let it go. Because we need to incorporate this thickness and this good rich color that goes with it. And at this time, I need you to add a little bit of black pepper in there, that coarse ground pepper. Just throw it right in there, and a little dab of olive oil. Woo-wee! We are good to go. Things are happening. Take it out of the blender, pour it in the pot that's got that meat in it. Take a half a cup of dry red wine. I don't care what kind you use, just a half a cup of dry red wine. Put that in there, stir it up really well, and then we're just going to put it on a simmer. Every once in a while, you're going to have to go by there and stir it. Make sure you get all the way to the bottom because this sauce is thick, and we're going to cook it for at least 3 hours because that's what's getting all that flavor, folks. We're going to bring all that flavor out of there, and it's going to be oh so good. Now, during that 3 hours, don't think you can go in there and curl up in that recliner and take you a nap because you don't need to be stirring that every once in a while. And about 15 minutes before that 3 hours is up, take you a stock pot, fill it enough to water to where you can take 1 pound of these here lasagna noodles and put them in there. So just make sure you get them in there. I want you to give it just a little dash of oil so they don't be trying to stick together, and just a little dab of salt. So I like to cook it to where it's still just a little bit, as Shan likes to say, al dente. So we're going to let it boil for about 3 minutes, and that's as far as we're going to go. Make sure ain't none of them stuck together. Put them in some cold water so they quit cooking right there, because I don't want them to fall apart in there. These are a foundation that are sort of laid up in that all that stuff to keep it together. Look here, 2 cackleberries. Yep, go ahead and crack them in there because we need to beat them. And when you're out here, you can do this because the possums is going to clean that up tonight. You try that in the kitchen, see how far you get before you get in trouble. So turn the beater on high. We got us some ricotta cheese. What does it say? 2 pounds. Don't be getting that kind that says skim milk. We ain't talking about losing no calories on this trip, folks. That stuff got some carbohydrates in it, and we're gonna need them to open up all them presents at Christmas. So just give her a big old dumping right in the pan. And folks, it's 34 degrees out here, so if it ain't spreading as good as you think it ought to, it's Mother Nature's fault. Now we just gonna tear us off some little hunks of this here cheese and just lay right up in there. Some chopped up spinach, and I need you to scatter him all around because we want everybody to have some of that color and goodness in there. What we got? Jalapeno. And I just want you to grate some of him down in there because we just need a little bit of that flavor and a little bit of that heat. Then I want you to take them 2 cackleberries, pour them right over the top. Then I want you to get your mixer, and I want you to mix. We got to get this all to the right consistency because we're going to put some more cheese with it. Who don't like some cheesy goodness? Let's hear it for the folks up north in Wisconsin. Yes, we're going to have us some cheesy goodness on Christmas. I'm talking about 3/4 of a pound here because...
What is that?
What is it? It is some more of that shredded mozzarella. We got to have a bunch of it in there. Yes, we do. And then we're going to just keep mixing here till we get all that in there. I found me some of this here stuff at the store. Parmesan Romano. Yep. And this stuff, I like to mix it in there because it's give it a little binding and some flavor. Go ahead and stir again. Well, folks, it'd be a really good time to preheat that oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and find that large, deep dish casserole. I'm talking about has some sideboards on it that's about 4 inch tall. Now, I'm putting it in a 12-inch Dutch oven today, and that works just fine. And remember that good-looking meat sauce, that marinara? Whew. I just want you to take a little bit of that, grease your casserole pan or your Dutch oven, and we're just going to put a thin layer right there on the bottom. Just run it all the way around there, sort of like putting it on the bottom of a pizza crust. It's time to break out some of these here things, and let's layer them in there. Now, just go ahead and place them however you think you can get them to fit. In a round dish, it ain't near as easy as it is in a square one. But you can see these are what we call that guy that drove through the hailstorm. What was his name, Shen? Al dente. Yes, he was. Okay, once you have a layer of that lasagna down there, let's go back with some meat sauce and put her right there, spread her all the way around. Get her all the way covered. We got to that point we have. Now we got to have some of this here ricotta. And folks, you can just sort of dollop that in there or try to spread it. If it's warmer, it'll spread really good. But out here, it's trying to set up. I mean, it's like, pretty cold. Time to go back with the lasagnas it is, but we was running this away the first time. We're going again to grain, we are. I can done tell we're gonna have trouble, Sharon. Now folks, even if you're doing this in a Dutch oven, go ahead and cover that, because that's going to block some of this heat on top to keep that from burning that cheese right off the bat. Because as windy as it is today, we're going to be cooking pretty slow. Let me get a lid. Give it a good sealing across there, mash it to that full. Guess what? It's time to slide it in the oven or slide it on some coals. Boy, I'm telling you, I was ready for some of this, folks. It is cold. Now you see me place it over here on one of them tall trivets, and we got a pretty light ring around the outside edge and pretty light on top. Now remember, we're going to cook this about 20 minutes in a conventional oven, 20 to 25, and then we're going to pull the foil off of it and cook it about another 20 to 25. But out here with the wind blowing, folks, it's creating microwavic atmospheres, it is, so we're going to have to rotate more often and watch them coals. Pretty light today, it's good and hot, good Fogo charcoal, so won't take too long. Don't it look pretty? Now it was pretty easy to cook, it was. The wind was blowing pretty hard, but about 20 minutes in, I removed that foil, put me some coals back around the outside edge one time more, but had to pull them a little away from it to regulate the heat. Rotate more often, remember, when you're out in the wind. And the most important thing I think you can do when you get this done and that crust all set up so pretty, let it set about 20-25 minutes before you try to cut it. Now out here in the frigid temperatures, you ain't gotta wait that long, I promise you, because it is cooling off. So you can see all them good layers of that ricotta and them jalapeno and that little dab of spinach in there. So I'm gonna cut me a bite right there. I am. Cheesy goodness all the way through. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle around the old truck trot. Woo! I'll tell you what, Santa Claus will come down the chimney 3 times to get him some of that, he will. Well, you have been good help. You have. And I want you to come around here where folks can see you and tell them how proud you are that they getting to see you on Christmas. So tell them Merry Christmas, okay? Thank you, my little buddy. Yeah, you good pup you are. Well, as always, the little recipe will be listed down there in the link below to where you can find it on our blog. And ooh, folks, this is what I call super good, it is. Joe Parlani, thank you, my friend, for sharing part of this recipe with me. It is a great deal. And folks, I know Christmas is going to be a little different this year, and people are spread out across the whole everywhere. Some of us can't even get together, and we got a deal called Zoom and phone call. But hey, the best give you can give is from the heart. Just call some of your friends, your neighbors, the people you love, and say, hey, we hope you have the merriest of Christmas ever, and have one every day, because we love you. Me and Shan, we don't never take for granted you watch these videos, whether it be on Christmas Day, New Year's Day, or the 4th of July. We love you all, we consider you family, and we want to wish you a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. But as always, I want to tip both hats today, Santa Claus and mine both, and thank our servicemen and women and all the veterans and everybody that's keeping us safe in this time. And folks, I just want to lift the country up to you and tell you, hey, things is going to get better, because that's what we do in America. We overcome and we do good. Be with all the doctors and all the people that are helping us get better through this time. God bless you each and every one. Have a very, very blessed Christmas, and I'll see you down the woo-wee lasagna truck. We'll see what happens. Running. But my hands is cold.